Back with the market. Good day for the markets today, and we're holding up quite steadily. Good market breadth as well. Metals, clearly, that's your shining pocket today. Pick up any stock, and that's holding up almost about 3 to about 6% a piece now for sale. Jindal Steel up 4.5%. Tata Steel up 3.6%. JSW, Hindalco, the entire sector is abuzz in trade. But let's shift focus. Let's talk about the paradigm shift that one is seeing in digital medium and also the kind of higher TV penetration that one has seen because of the COVID pandemic and just about everyone staying at home. Let's welcome on board Vynsley Fernandes, the CEO at NXT Digital Limited and President at Indus Media and Communications on the show right now. Vynsley, hi, good to have you on the show. Morning. Tell us a little bit about what kind of financial performance have you seen and what would you say has driven your earnings potentially? And would you say that at a time when now in the post-COVID era, there has been a paradigm shift in businesses such as yours and the viability and the profitability is only going to go upwards from here?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show and here today. And you're absolutely right. I think there has been a paradigm shift. But when I look back at Next Digital, and interestingly, it was probably about 5 months, 6 months to the day that I was last on ET Now. And the question was, has Next Digital been able to turn the corner? And the fact remains that we were on the cusp then. And the best part is that has set the trajectory for further growth. So if you look at the kind of factors that led to the growth, and I think this is very interesting because Next Digital and through its earlier significant subsidiary, Indus Media and Communications, has continued to see a tremendous turnaround. I mean, if you look at it right now, the consolidated revenue for Next Digital, which has a presence in digital cable, in the only head end in the Sky platform in India and a strong broadband presence as well and content development, we've been able to grow our top line by over 65%. Now that is significant by any yardstick. And I think there are a couple of key things that have led to this tremendous paradigm shift. And the first thing I think is we were able to successfully implement, of course, the new regulatory framework that came into force in 2019, early 2019, actually. The second thing, as a business, we've continued to focus on what we have always believed is the fastest growing segment in India, which is semi-urban, semi-rural and rural India. And if you look at the CAGR growth in those markets for ARPUs, if you look at the 2-year growth, it's incredible. It's at about between 40 to 50%, while as the rest of India, which is tier 1 and tier 2 markets, have kind of flattened off at about 28 to 30%. So we focused on those markets. Notwithstanding our focus on those markets, we've even changed our entire shift in terms of strategy in the cities where we're present. And rather than offering standalone products, we bundled our services. For example, we've layered our cable television in the cities with broadband. We've layered it with value-added services, which in fact during COVID-19, you rightly mentioned, has also seen a complete uptick. So when you look back on the year that's been, and I'm talking about fiscal 2020, I think that set the rules or it set the tone for us to be able to take our growth to a completely different level. Today we're at our order book is at 10 million subs, over 10 million subs, where 5.2 million is our own subscriber base that we've achieved, a 28% growth. And we've also signed on over 5 million customers to managed services. Now that shows exactly where the industry is headed and how television penetration, linear television, is still very strong, especially in markets where there is aspirational growth. So I think overall, yes, it is the start of yet another strong trajectory for the industry. And from a Next Digital perspective, absolutely. I think we're on the growth path there as well.
Sure. Help us understand, now with so many people resorting to OTT platforms and digital mediums clearly driving growth just about for everyone, Are you worried about losing subscribers going forward? And what does your total subscriber base stand at currently? And what is the target eventually going forward?
Sure. So I'll tell you, OTT is a significant play anywhere in the world. In India, though, OTT, if you notice, is a complementary product. It is a critical product in the mix of a duopoly. People who would have an OTT subscription, chances are they would either have a cable TV or a hits or a DTH subscription in parallel. But then there is a huge market outside of the cities. I mean, India is not the city, as I keep telling a lot of people. The moment you step out, there is an aspirational market, right? And you're seeing a trend. See, when a subscriber starts his journey in terms of consuming content, he doesn't start with OTT. It's the same thing like life. You don't start with a four-wheeler. So it's like, a two-wheeler to a four-wheeler onwards. So when you look at it, people start with a free subscription sometimes. I'm talking about like free dish in certain markets, then migrating or aspiring to be into a standard definition pay model, then moving up to a slightly more expensive package, then moving up to high definition, and then embracing probably a digital product as well. And there is a huge aspirational market, a huge growing middle class. And I use the term middle class with care. There's a huge middle class that's being created in the semi-urban, semi-rural and rural markets where we're seeing this aspiration. So from a perspective of the Hinduja group, we had a vision in 2015 that there would be a continuous growth in those markets. You're talking about today, 100 million homes are still under cable and television. And that number is only going to increase as the aspirational model increases. So OTT is no doubt here to stay, but you will not see one at the cost of another. You'll see a continuous growth in the aspirational markets of semi-urban to rural India. And we're talking about, from a perspective of Next Digital, there is that potential. So you asked me a question in terms of subscriber base. The best part today is that being the only hits platform in the country, we are able to provide managed services even to our peers. Therefore, we're quite happy to mention today that our base, when you look at our subscriber or our serviced base, now stands at over 10 million, where 5.2 million are our own subscribers. And we've signed contracts with our own peers, I'm talking about competitors, to provide them managed services to the tune of about 5 million. Now, when you look at the entire cable market and you look at peers, our peers and us together probably account for about 31 million television households in the country. That means you're still talking about 69 million television households that are outside of the pan-India presence in terms of independent or regional platforms. Now, that is a target market for us. 69 million television households is a target market in terms of being able to provide those independent and regional multi-system operators to be able to provide them managed services. Because number one, they're seeing the cost of content delivery going up. Number two, they are being faced with technology obsolescence. Number three, they face an overall challenge of connectivity, of quality of service. So by riding on the head end in the sky platform that we have, they will be able not just to sustain their business and sustain their model, but they'll be able to also grow their business. So that is one. Having said that, the remaining 31 million homes of which we are a part, and I'm talking about our own peers, the cable wars are all over. Thanks to the new regulatory framework, we have a level playing field. There is parity, there is transparency. So for a peer or a competitor to want to ride on our platform to deliver his services and avail of the quality of service that we have, we're certainly not averse to that. So for us, like I said, the entire field of 69 million becomes the low-hanging fruit, while the 31 becomes, something that we're looking at in the days to come. I hope I was able to answer that question.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Vynsley. Just to get a couple of numbers from you, total subscriber base, the kind of targets you have, current ARPUs, and then perhaps a sense of really strategy going forward now.
Sure. So I think, one thing is that in the last 4 quarters, and IMCL as Indus Media, which is the media business, has consistently recorded profits over the last 4 quarters. And a couple of things that made us, that we changed. We started becoming a metric-driven business, a very strong metric-driven business. Today, our ARPUs, when you look at it, and I'd like to mention mention separate ARPUs. So while our combined ARPUs wouldn't be in the region of about 145 to 150, I'm talking about net ARPUs. The ARPUs that we look at are digital addressable system or tier-wise. So while the cities would generate a company ARPU of about 190 plus, the ARPU that we're really excited about is in rural and semi-rural India, because in the last 2 years, we've seen those ARPUs grow at a CAGR of between 40 to 50%. I'm talking about from as low as 50 rupees maybe 2 years ago, they're clocking over 101 rupees, 102 rupees. So that itself shows the amount of growth factor. So we're continuing to focus on those markets to grow the ARPUs where we believe the volumes will drive the business. Having said that, we aren't ignoring the major cities where we have a strong presence through cable television, where our cable television ARPUs are over 190. And couple that with our broadband ARPUs today, where our broadband ARPUs, our exit ARPUs for FY20 stand at about 350 rupees today. When you look at that kind of combination, quite clearly, we've been able to strategize and say, we will segment the market according to the strength of the market and according to the need for that market. So the strategy for a phase 3 and 4 market is to drive new products. It's to drive the aspirational model of getting consumers to move from a free-to-air market to a pay standard definition, to a pay high definition, and then, of course, to digital. In the cities, our strategy is to leverage the fact that we have a strong broadband business. We have strong value-added services. So we've come out with a lot of innovative products where we layer our broadband with cable television and value-added services. And we create what is called today, what we colloquially kind of, refer to as an essential toolkit. That is an essential toolkit for everyone at home, right? It comprises broadband, it comprises video, which is cable television or head end in the sky delivery of video, and it comprises value-added services supported by a 24/7 kind of service on the ground. So there is a clear segmentation that we have followed. Having said that, we've also looked at, from an OTT perspective, you mentioned, one of the strategies that we're looking at in terms of OTT is to leverage our fantastic relationships with OTT platforms and actually create a strategic alliance where they ride on our platform and get delivered to our customers. Our business has always been digital distribution. We're experts at that. We've been in the business for 25 years, and we believe our strength is there. And anyone who wants to encash that strength, like I mentioned, managed services or OTT, we're more than happy to kind of work with them. The second big vertical that we're looking at doing in terms of strategy going forward, as I mentioned, the first one was managed service, is to create this entire boutique concept, right? We're looking at how do we deliver all these essential toolkit services.
Plans going forward at Next Digital.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all from us on the show today. Vynsley Fernandes of Next Digital there discussing their outlook going forward, and we're going to have to take a very quick break. Back with the headlines on the other side.